Shavers. Leroy here. Nomeo Shaves back with another video. As you can tell from the clothes, the shirt, it's not a shaving video, but it is, as Stephen Davidson would say, shave related. I thought I would just give a little demo on the items that I use and what I have to hone razors. Let me get the simple stuff out of the way. Got this little magnifying glass. I believe it's a 60 to 100. It's a nice little, it's got a LED light on there so I can just get a good look at the bevel. Still not 100% sure what I'm doing, but I'm getting there. Right, first things first, we know we have to lap our stones, right? So I've mentioned this before in some previous videos, but this is a little cheap lapping plate that I was able to pick up from a buddy in China. One side has 400 on it, the other side is a 1200. You guys can see that. Now, it was only 20 bucks. I couldn't say no. The only downside to it was the corners had some dings, right? So they were kind of lifted up. So I just took a good file and just filed them down. It's been great. The 400 side is what I use mostly on when I flatten all my stones. I'll use this also to create a slurry on the various stones. And that diamond plate came with a stand, so it's adjustable. You guys have seen this before. They range, I don't know, it just came free with the stand, or with the stand. I mean, it came free with the plate. Now let's go with my base stone. So this is a Shapton Kuromaku. This is a 1500 grit stone. It's got a nice little box here that can also be like a stand, so you can set the stone on and do some honing on the stone. It's got some vent holes here for drawing. I never use it for that purpose. I just use this. Now this is a pretty cool stone. Here's the back. Now the reason why I chose this stone was mostly because of Keith Johnson. I was this close to probably going with the Chosera 1K. It's a big green stone, but I started doing some more research, and cost is also a factor, Now I know this is probably half the thickness of that Chosera, but I'm not a professional honer. I think this thing will probably last me a lifetime. I've set quite a few bevels on this. I'm still learning. It does really, really well. I lap it between each before I use it. I'll just draw the little lines on there, and then I'll use the 400 on here, and then I'll just you guys have seen too many videos of that, but that's what I use. So this is my Shapton Kuromaku 1500. Does a great job. My next stone in the order is this guy. This is a Naniwa Gouken Series. This is a 4000 grit stone, and this is the Hayabusa. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hayabusa. Great stone. This is another one that Keith Johnson basically made me get. He helped me decide. It's a great stone. I love it. I got my little 4K on the side there. There's the colors of it. Again, I just used the 400 grit, and that's what I used to lap. And then I also create slurry on here. I found that these Gouken stones, I don't have a lot of experience. I can only compare it to this Shapton, right? And there's a difference in the feel. These Naniwa Goukens, they feel velvety. I don't know what's the right word for it, but they tend to load up pretty quick. So if I have slurry on there, it doesn't load up as fast. So I find while I'm honing on these stones, I tend to have to run to the sink and rub off the slurry, because they just load kind of quick. But it's a great stone. I think for the price, it was a really good deal or a good option. I have nothing to compare this to. These are the only stones that I have, so it is what it is. Second stone in the line is another Gouken stone. This is the 8K 8000, and this is the Fuji. the Gouken Fuji. Now this is a really cool stone. It's noticeably harder than the 4K, but again, it still has that velvety texture to it. One thing I kind of don't like about these stones is they're hard, but they're also soft. I mean, I can take my nail and I can dig a little piece out. I can scratch it, right? It's really strange. And so when I'm lapping these plates, I have to be extra careful not to like ding anything because they will chip really easily. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, they chip really easy compared to the the hell, the Shapton. Right, that's my 8K, but I have shaved off this successfully multiple times. This is a really good stone. But again, Keith Johnson, I mean, he's the one that basically told me to, he didn't tell me to get this, but his website told me to get it. Pardon me. He did mention that he really did like this 8K stone the most, but he chose the Snow White 8K over this because of feedback. But this produces a beautiful edge. I think maybe he mentioned that it acts more like a 10K, and the 4K is more like a 6K, something like that. But according to Keith, they tend to act finer than what they're rated for, if that makes any sense. These Gouken stones do. All right, now we're going to get into the finishing stones. Just a second, put this back. I do my best to keep everything neat, so I keep everything in the boxes. Right, now this is a 12K. It's also part of the Gouken line, but so let's see here if you guys can see this right here. There we go. Now focus. Now, all of my research just tells me this is basically a Naniwa Superstone, but it's thinner. This is 10 millimeters. It's really thin. See, there it is right there. Beautiful stone. I've successfully honed on this. Let me see. So this is just a comparison with the Shapton. I think, is this 15 or is it 20? I think this might be 15 millimeters. And then my Gouken, the other Gouken, the 4K and 8K are 20 millimeters thick. Now, this does tend to bow, but I'm finding out that it needs to be soaked. If you go to GS6 Gun, he does a video on using the Naniwa 12K as a refresher. And you mentioned there that it does need to be soaked. So I've experimented a little bit. I've soaked and then just did splash and go. The soaking does tend to help the warp out a bit, but I've only used it a couple times, so I'm still not really good at that. All right, now we're getting to my two finishers. Look at this bad boy. This is my Dota Creek. I think I've mentioned this before. I've experimented with this a little bit recently, but now I've decided to do a different finish. You guys can see the scratch pattern there. Sorry, let me get in the frame here. So this time I just went ahead and I actually lapped it with the 1200 side. I used it a little bit over the weekend and the feedback was a lot better. Before, what I did was, after lapping it with a 1200, I took it to some 600 grit sandpaper, but it was a very fine finish. I mean, it was like shiny. There was no dullness to it at all. It was shiny. So I don't think I was getting quite enough feedback. So I'm going to experiment with this type of finish. And when I got this stone, he sent me a smaller piece of rubbing stone. Now I just lapped this with 400 just to kind of get a feel for it. So this is actually, I mean, it's a good enough size where I can actually kind of maybe use it for hand honing. I don't know. I'm gonna cut my finger off too. Last but definitely not least, this is my favorite stone. This is my Ozuku. This is Ozuku Asagi that I got from Chef Knives to Go when they had them all for sale back in February, I believe. Now, The only downside to this, it's a little bit narrow and it's got this crazy shape to it, right? It makes it really, really hard for honing. So I try to start up here and I bring it down like that. It's great for my kamasori, but again, the working space is really small, so I tend to have to do a lot more strokes. That's my collection, guys. That's all I have. I have already did a video on the strop, so that's what I have. Hope you guys enjoy this little video. A little bit longer than I expected, and that's what I have. And it works. I mean, I've shaved off the 12K before with really good results. I've shaved off the 8K more than once with really, really good results. It struggles against the grain right here, but it does really well. And I've shaved off this guy with fantastic results. I love this stone. I'm trying to get my wife to let me get a regular size stone, but it's not cheap. And this one I'm just still experimenting with. So right now I'm in the process of starting from scratch again. I just spent a couple hours setting a bevel the other day. And so next I need to go to the 4K and then the 8K and then to this guy and see what happens. But I'm also I'm trying to work on my kamasori as well. I need a little bit more keenness on the edge. So I'll be taking the kamasori to this hopefully today. All right, that's my gear, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed that. This is Leroy signing off. Don't text and drive. Bye.